This is Scott Richmond.
And Arnie Sherman.
You're listening to What Do You Know on Newstalk KGVO, AM 1290 and 98.3 FM. What a gorgeous day here in sunny Missoula. Good morning, Arnie.
This is my favorite week of the year.
How come? How come, he said?
Take me out to the ball game. This is baseball season.
It is.
Scott, something we've done our whole lives. You know, baseball is really an analogy to life in general, right?
Right, I know.
When you are born, you're almost indoctrinated to your home team.
Yeah.
And unless they do something horrific, like the Dodgers, who moved out of Brooklyn in 1958, and people that are still alive from then still have horrible feelings about it. You have that team for the rest of your life. Who's your team? You're in Montana, but who's your team in baseball?
Out here, it's the Seattle Mariners.
Right, but
back east, it was the New York Mets.
Right. And I'm a Yankee fan regardless of where I lived. If I lived in Moscow, Russia, I was following the New York Yankees.
Always? Even if you moved to a new locale?
On another planet, I would still follow the New York Yankees.
Okay.
I was talking to my uncle, who's done our show before, Harry Waterstone.
Right. Who's
95 years old and watches baseball religiously, and he's lived in L.A. now since after World War II, since the early 50s. And so he's kept his Yankee roots, but he obviously also has L.A. roots. So we talk about baseball and call him on opening day. He has listened to at least 90 opening days of baseball.
Oh, my
opening
God.
Seasons. You know,
does he remember each one?
Well, I don't know if he remembers each one. I haven't asked him, but, he was there when Lou Gehrig in 1939, I think it was, said, "I'm the luckiest man on the face of the earth," when he retired from the New York Yankees because of,
Lou Gehrig's disease.
Yeah, which is now called his disease. So, and baseball really has has had a profound influence on American life in many ways. I remember Leo DeRocher, the manager of the Brooklyn Dodgers, and later in L.A. said, "Baseball is like church. Many attend, but few understand." And when you go to a game, that's pretty good. There's some people intently, people keeping score on sheets, and people there just for the other, attractions, the hot dogs and the popcorn and everything else. And when I was a kid growing up, I'm older than you. I think our listeners know that. Baseball was the only sport.
Right.
I mean, pro football wasn't a big deal. Pro basketball was, hardly watched. It wasn't on TV, except maybe, the championship game. Baseball was everything. And growing up in New York as a kid, most of the years I was in public school, the Yankees were in the World Series. Right. And they would play it on the radio at school.
Right.
And you listen to the games. I mean, that's how important it was, to American life. And things obviously have changed since then. I think it was Mary McCrory, the late Washington columnist and writer, who said, "Baseball is what we were. Football is what we have become."
Interesting.
And I thought that's an interesting, and there's so many stories, and everybody who is a follower of baseball has, probably a famous, favorite quote, and there's so many of them. Obviously, a lot of the great quotes from Yogi Berra.
Why do you think she said that?
Well, I know that stuck with you. You've been pondering that question.
Well, you know what? Because it actually is true, right? You see it, but boy, I wish more was like baseball. Because
baseball was in a way
like you said,
organized, and it's structured, and it was, it has lots of rules and regulations, and some courtesies, and some things that are not so courteous. I mean, people have brushback pitches or beans, hit somebody with a baseball. But football is a violent, visceral sport. Baseball is more of a mental sport in many ways. The pitcher figuring out what ball he has to throw to a batter, a batter trying to understand what the pitcher's going to do.
Yep.
The 8 position players setting themselves, having to know what each guy would do. It's very individual, but it's a team sport as well.
Right.
And I think what she's saying, we moved from that kind of, approach to sport to the, football violence, it's on a clock. Baseball is the only professional sport that's really not on a clock.
That's right.
It could go on forever. The other sports have quarters and plays and timeouts and all of these other things. Baseball is in many ways much more natural, and it is the quintessential American sport.
Absolutely, and I think the pacing, Arnie, has we at all. You always hear every year, how can they make baseball more TV friendly? How can they make it more fan friendly by speeding up the game or
and they've tried.
The rules?
They put in designated hitter in one of the two leagues.
Right.
It's the only sport that's divided like that. Football is the same among all the divisions. Baseball has, the designated hitter in the American League, and it doesn't exist in the National.
But I would like to say something. I think we actually people have been asking for that. But right now, I'd rather it be the old baseball. I'd rather the pacing be a little more.
It has attracted more of the folks who pay attention to detail. It's a very it's not physical brute strength.
Right.
This in the game the other night. In the game the other night, the Yankees were playing in Tampa Bay. The smallest guy on either team, 5'7", 150 pounds, hit the home run.
Is that
the guy
right?
that was least expected to do it. The guy that has the lightest bat, crushed.
Physics.
It's all physics, and it's underestimating people. It has a lot of intrigue to it. Or as Yogi Berra once said, 90% of the game is mental. The other half is physical.
For those who don't know who Yogi Berra is,
he was known for many great quotes. And baseball, because it's been around for so long, since the 19th century, it's been played organized. There's so many great quotes, So
what's the Missoula angle here?
Well, the Missoula angle is, and we're going to have today the GM of the Missoula Osprey, is that Missoula, Montana has a rookie league team for the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Right.
And so we have here a connection to the major leagues. And while our team doesn't start till June here, they obviously are following what the parent club's going to do.
Right.
And there'll be a draft, and some of the rookie players that are selected in the draft will end up here in Missoula, Montana. And we've seen some great major league players that have come through Missoula.
I'm looking forward
including
to it,
the current first baseman from the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Wonderful.
He's a former Montana Missoula Osprey.
Well, look, I'm looking forward to it. We're going to have Jeff Griffin and guests. So Jeff is the GM and guests with us right after we come back from this message. You are listening to What Do You Know on KGVO, proudly supported by Don Maddox, Glacier Sotheby's International Realty. Back after this. Alrighty, we are back with Jeff Griffin, GM of the Osprey.
Jeff, good to have you here.
Hey, thanks for having me in, guys.
So listen, the Osprey started off out, in 87 in Pocatello, Idaho, right? Then moved to Lethbridge, Canada. How'd they end up in Missoula? How did we end up getting a minor league baseball team?
So the franchise was a co-op independent team that was in Pocatello. You are correct. You went on Wikipedia this morning, Arnie.
Of course I did. I didn't check you out, however, but I did check
the franchise was in Canada in the early 90s, and there actually was no affiliate at that point as well.
Right.
And then the Arizona Diamondbacks came along as an expansion franchise, and they looked at a couple of markets in the Pioneer League as to where they were going to have their very first affiliate. Well, they chose Lethbridge. I remember Butte being in the conversation, and this predates me, but Butte spelt welcome Diamondbacks incorrectly when they flew in.
Right?
So it was a total Butte move,
That's
right?
A killer.
That's beautiful.
That's history.
Yes.
And that really did happen. I was not here for it, but I've heard the stories. So they had to have picked Lethbridge because they spelled Diamondbacks correctly.
Right, okay.
So now the team's in Canada at that point, and business is what it is. But not many minor league clubs in Canada at that point. Still had Medicine Hat, still had a team in Calgary, team in Vancouver, Ottawa. Now there's only one, the Vancouver Canadians, affiliate of the Toronto Blue Jays. Right. So the trend was for teams to move south of the border, easier for visas for players to get across, the trade and having to buy goods in the U.S.
How timely a conversation, by the way.
Yeah, buy goods in the U.S. and pay duty and get them into wherever you're going. So just all those economics of it. Missoula hadn't had professional baseball since 1960. Jack McKeon, player-manager at that time, with a stogie in the corner of the dugout. Charlie Pride played a couple of games for
the Charlie Pride?
The Charlie
he was
Pride.
a baseball player, minor league ball player.
Yes,
for the Missoula Timberjacks.
Really?
And Hall of Famer Jim Cott.
Right.
So the team hadn't had a baseball team since 1960, and they were affiliated with the Minnesota Twins and the Washington Senators at that point. At different years while they were here. And a group of business leaders in Missoula said we want to have professional baseball. The Diamondbacks in this ownership group, Mountain Baseball LLC, which still owns and operates the team that had it way back in the early 90s,
right?
Said, hey, Missoula's a great place. Play ball Missoula came to be, got a stadium, and here we go.
Here we go. So what does being affiliated with the Diamondbacks really mean on an operational basis?
Absolutely. So every minor league club, so before there was no affiliation in that. The rest of the league was. They were getting all the leftover players from the draft when they were in Lethbridge. They were getting guys that weren't signed, that were from the scouting bureau, that were just to fill a team so they had enough guys to play with. Now there's 160 minor league teams that are affiliated throughout the country. That affiliation is the same for us as it is for the Helena Brewers with Milwaukee, as it is with the Cincinnati Reds with the Billings Mustangs, the Great Falls Voyagers, and Chicago White Sox. It means that we have a player development contract with Major League Baseball, and the Diamondbacks provide us with the talent to. Do
they have a say in the management and the manager of the team, 100%. And the coaches? Yep.
Well, 99.8. They ask us a few things from time to time, but they pay the players, they pay the coaching staff, and their goal is to develop major leaguers. And develop guys that are going to make it to the big leagues.
And we've had a few that have come through here. 60. John Olerud, for example, who played in the majors, played for the Yankees at one point.
Is that right?
Olerud wasn't an Osprey, but he might have played in the Pioneer League.
He did play in the Pioneer League.
But not for the Osprey.
Who's in the Pioneer League, Jeff?
So he's a Washington State Cougar, though, which is where I went to school.
Oh, good.
So John Olerud, yes.
Well, we had Paul Goldschmidt.
Goldschmidt, first baseman for the Diamondbacks. Lyle Overbay.
That's who I was thinking of. I'm wrong. Lyle Overbay's the guy I saw play here.
And he just finally retired.
Yes.
And
good for him.
Yeah, he was 1999. There's still one original player from that 1999 team still active in the major leagues. Jorge De La Rosa just got picked back up by the Diamondbacks. He has been the Coors Field pitcher too. So you can put that into context. The guy has a winning record at Coors Field. He was the Rockies' opening day starter for years and years and years, over the last 4 or 5 years, because he's the only guy that can win in Coors Field, right? Traditionally. So he's now what? Upper 30s, and I think he played here as an 18-year-old.
He's like Satchel Paige. We don't really know how old he is now.
So Arizona went out and grabbed him this year. He's on He's on the Diamondbacks big league roster. Yeah, he's back in the family to finish his career.
So tell us, give us a little context. Who's in the Pioneer League?
You got it. Pioneer League. 4 teams in the north.
Okay.
You got Missoula, Great Falls, Helena, and Billings.
Right.
Northern Division. Southern Division, Grand Junction.
Oh.
Orem, Ogden, and Idaho Falls.
Really?
Yeah, so you have a north and a south, all affiliated with Major League Baseball.
And you guys travel around, you play in-division games, and do you play out-of-division games?
Yeah, and they all count the same.
Okay.
But we play our in-division more often than we play out-of-division with the travel, the trips. Okay. We make 2 trips to the south each year, and they make 2 trips up here.
And the rosters, how many players?
Up to 35 active players at this point.
And where do they live when they come here?
That's a loaded question. So all over the place, right? It depends on when they get in. So the draft, we get a lot of rookies, Arnie, and the draft this year is scheduled for June 12, 13, and 14.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Well, our opening day is in Billings on June the 19th.
Right.
So they've got to say that they're picking so-and-so. They've got to get him his physical, sign a contract, and get him to Missoula, get him a uniform, and get him on a bus by the 19th. Right. So there's a lot of stuff that's got to happen.
Right.
So they'll probably get in on a Saturday night or a Sunday right before the Monday opening day. And to answer your question on where they live, a lot of them get apartments in town.
Right.
Few host families.
Where do they get apartments, though? There are no furnished apartments in this town. There are very few. They're VRBO.
There is some VRBO opportunities. There are some great property management companies in this wonderful Garden City that have vacancies with the students being gone during the summer.
Our sponsor being one of them.
Yeah. I can imagine so.
And the season is how many games?
We play 76 games in roughly 80 days.
Wow. Holy mackerel.
That's half of a major league season.
As the GM, Jeff, do you travel with the team?
Sparingly.
Your home. So,
Orem, by the way, Orem is, you don't need to go there more than once.
I know where Orem is. But so wait a second. So Jeff, what's your like in season, what's your schedule like?
My personal schedule in season.
Yes.
At the office in the morning, and I'm running day-to-day business operations. So if you're coming as a group or a corporate client to the park, I'm probably printing your tickets myself.
Right.
I'm probably calling you and making sure they get delivered to your office. All the game promotions, from talking to the field manager of the other club, about batting practice times,
Sure.
and post game meals and hotel arrangements.
Who's dealing with hotels over when you're on the road when your team's
So the home. So we send our rooming list,
Right.
of who's going to be staying, but the contractual obligations are taken care of by the host city, and then those are, and so we pay when a team comes to our city, and they pay when we go to their city.
Is that right? So
we're able to work our own deals in our own community to benefit.
Now I know why Matt's on Destination Missoula.
I actually do our hotel deal. Yeah. So
who do you do it with?
Our team hotel is the Comfort Inn University across from
good.
across
With
from the football stadium
Katrina.
there with Katrina and Carrie.
Nice. We love them.
Over them, and they've been a long time solid partner. And then our umpires stay at the Broadway on. Right by the ballpark as well.
Yeah.
Right. So real close, though, for them. And there's
Fantastic.
a restaurant opportunity there.
Absolutely.
And the Maralt family's been really good to us for
Good
a long
food
time.
there,
Yeah.
good drinking, and pool. They have a pool.
That's right. So let me ask you this. Middle of June comes around, there's a draft.
There is.
You get your players.
They do.
Some of them are first-round players getting a lot of money, right? Some of them signing bonuses to a top player is a lot. Some of the guys are there to fill out the team.
Arnie, all the prospects have to have somebody to play with.
Right, I understand.
Yeah, so that just answers that piece to it. So the fillers, yes, everybody has to have it. You have to have teammates.
Right, so you got teammates. But some guys got $1 million contract, and some guys got what's the smallest contract?
So their contracts are all the same as far as their day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month. It's based on level, and that's through the collective bargaining agreement with.
So all rookies get the same.
Yeah, at this level they get a paycheck,
except for the bonuses.
Now they have signing bonuses, and those are structured based on where they're selected in the draft. And Major League Baseball's regulated that over time to where each draft pick has a slotted amount that can be allotted to. It used to be a free-for-all, gunslinging, no salary cap. You know, if you want to give somebody $10 million, give them $10 million. Well, you can still give them $10 million, but you got to pay a tax on that now, and you lose it.
But you can have a scenario where somebody here has got $1 million in his back pocket because he's a highly touted first-round draft choice.
And keep in mind, too, that the Diamondbacks and all the other affiliates pay this. It's not the Osprey. So I want to make sure that we're not on the hook for that. That's for sure.
Ticket prices will still be the low
They are, yes.
I'm more interested in the dynamics of a 20-year-old showing up
100%. Our car dealers in the Missoula market appreciate that, too, because when they come in with their bonus and they're able to pick up their first ride after
Is that
college.
right?
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Very
They're
often,
spend the money here.
Very often.
That's beautiful.
But it's
Very
also the
often that
dynamics of a guy, and sometimes you have journeymen to fill out the team, right? And not all rookies.
No, we can't have any more than 3 players with over 3 years of professional experience.
Jeff, you are a fountain of information relative to baseball and certainly this team. But what is the economic impact of the Osprey to the city of Missoula?
Exponential.
So, because it sounds like, I mean, with the auto dealers and hotels and food and real estate and then that's just the players.
Well,
and
we're good community members as well, and we try to do business with people that are doing business with us in every realm of day-to-day life, if it's possible, personally and professionally. And we preach that, you know that, Scott, because we get together all the time and talk about who's doing what with who and who you should be doing stuff with because of. And that's what it's about. This is a small enough market that it's a relationship business, and if the other businesses aren't doing well here in town, then the baseball team's not going to be sustainable. It's a quality of life piece, and the opportunity to be able to come out and have a fun, affordable family event, but we'll also try to drive our people to the people that believe in what we're doing in the community.
Absolutely. Let's do a quick ID, Arnie. We're listening to What Do You Know? You're listening to What Do You Know on Newstalk KGVO. Our guest is the general manager of the Osprey, Jeff Griffin. And Arnie, back to you.
So, Jeff, I'm not asking what Matt had to, numbers he had to put on the check when he bought the team. But in this year, in 2017, if a minor league team in the rookie league level goes up for sale, what kind of price tags? What are these franchises worth?
That's a good question. It's only worth what someone will pay for it, right?
Right, yeah.
So, what do you have for comparables in this? You have what other teams have sold for in other markets.
Yeah. Just roughly.
And none of that's really out in the public realm as much. But I don't think that you could grab a team in professional baseball anywhere for under $7 million.
Right. So that's a lot compared to what it might have been in 1999. For example, when
I don't know what they were going for back then, and this franchise hasn't sold in over 20 years, so I would have no.
And you make your money primarily. The team makes its money primarily from ticket sales and sponsorships, correct?
the team operates off of partnerships, yes, those sponsorship dollars, tickets and groups in the community, and then non-baseball events that we host at the stadium
to offset your costs, your expenses.
Let's talk about that. What's coming up this summer? That non-baseball at the stadium.
Oh, this is airing on Sunday.
So today we have the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation walk at the ballpark. So
Great.
April 9th today. When this airs, that's
perfect.
That's exciting.
But you use the space for other things like concerts and
you got Paul Simon coming on June 21st.
We're a stopping ground between Red Rocks and Seattle sometimes.
So is there somebody else like that you can mention who might be coming?
I get holds every day, and Scott knows this as well. That I get a call every couple of days with names or an email daily with information on who might be available and who's coming through and what it's going to be, and those come and go. And and like the Paul Simon deal, I heard about it last year, believe it or not. We were working on him, and he wasn't coming out this way, and then all of a sudden it popped up this year, and I said, oh, really? Yeah, right. Okay, right. I'll believe it when I see it. And then the next day we had a deal. So
that's great.
It's just those things are fly by the seat of your pants a little bit, and
you gotta be able to hop
I've
on
always
the deal.
I've always got lists, and we worked on we did the Widespread Panic concert last year, which was a good show.
That was
right.
That was
good.
We have big time wrestling.
We have big time wrestling coming in for their third year. That's on June the 9th. We got tickets at the MSO Hub. A bunch of former TV professional wrestler stars.
Cool.
Something different, for the community.
I was talking to Jason over at Burn Street Bistro.
Yeah.
He's a big wrestling fan.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah, he's one of the principals over there. Who's the big name coming to wrestling? It's Greg the Hammer Valentine.
So we have Booker T, Greg the Hammer Valentine.
He's dead, isn't he? I mean, he must be 90 years
old. 1 foot in.
He's the son of Johnny Valentine.
Yeah, I remember Johnny.
Seattle, Washington native.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, they said Greg's from from Seattle, but Johnny's from Texas.
Yes.
See,
this might have been where they were at on tour or something. I learned a lot when reading Wikipedia, because I actually have to write the press releases that go out, about these guys. So we have a Carlito Colon, I believe, is another one.
Carlito Colon.
So there'll be wrestling. There's going to be concerts. What else? What else we got? We have any?
The Ultimate Wine Run, the end of September.
That guy contacted me.
That's cool.
It's the second year we've had that. It was a party. Last year there was about 1,000 people that came, and
that's good.
They do
that's
a 1K.
In September though, right?
Yeah,
Jeff?
September 30th. A 1K and a 5K. It's a national tour, and everyone that came seemed to have a great time.
Right.
They got on the dance floor and they rode the mechanical bull and they had some wine, and it seemed like it was a night away from the kids for the people that were there.
How does our attendance here compare with other teams in our league?
In our market.
In our
league in this.
So we're in the middle.
Okay.
We have been as high as third and as low as fifth most years out of the 8 teams.
Right.
Percentage. When you compare it to your population, we do pretty well.
Right.
We draw over 2,000 a night here.
Right.
And if you can draw your population throughout the season, that you have so that would be 80,000 over the summer, just for baseball, and probably another 20 or so with, we'll have 8 for Paul Simon, and we'll have, we have the UM Club baseball, and we have the Missoula Mavericks American Legion Regional out there in August this year that'll be bringing the state champions from all.
So it's fair to say,
so it'll be 100,000 people through the.
You have 40 dates for baseball. You have to have other events going on there to make
this thing pencil.
Right.
Yeah, we've got to keep the doors open and put on other programming to make this work. We have a strenuous lease, but it's fair to the point to where we are able to operate and control the other events that we have going on out there. So the other cities, I've also been in some of the markets, and you could laugh at this, but where they say what the attendance is, and you're in your own section, and it's not that.
Yeah, there's 11 people there.
So we have other operators that have come to Missoula and said, "Wow, you have a great crowd tonight." And we said, "Well, this is average."
Right.
So you get that feedback too when. Yeah, that we do this community supports it. Our biggest competition's the outdoors during the summer.
Sure, it's a nice day. People
let's go float the river or play golf. Right. Or let's go to Flathead. We can go to the ball game tomorrow.
Well, here's the thing that Arnie and I were talking about before you got here. We were talking about the essence of baseball and what does baseball really mean to America, and we talked about the pace of the game, and and how maybe football is a sport that has become more of America's, known sport, and baseball has taken a bit of a back seat. However, the pendulum swings, right? And it goes both ways. And I think it's going back towards baseball, because I think people are craving that free time, that time to spend with family. You know what? Spending 3.5 hours at a ballpark on a nice summer night is a nice activity, especially when you're having a beer and a hot dog and chips and watching great baseball. I mean, that's a reasonable activity versus.
Well, if we just promoted the baseball, would have been out of business a long time ago. So
Sure.
A lot of the people that come to our park have no interest in the game. It's a place to see your neighbors.
Right.
It's a place to take your kid and get some autographs and catch a free bag of peanuts and just tell stories,
Right.
and
for
make
a guy
memories.
like me, who still resents the Arizona Diamondbacks from 2001 when, Luis Gonzalez in the bottom of the ninth of the seventh game of the World Series hit the blooper single off Mariano Rivera to beat my New York Yankees.
That was 2001.
We never forget.
You have so many of those in your closet that you can give the little guy one every once in a while. But for the football and baseball conversation, it's funny because I swing by the season, Scott. So I'm the biggest football fan come September 15th every year. I'm ready to go. Right.
And,
sure.
You
And baseball's
still
on the way
the
out.
Cougars?
I do go to quite a few Wazoo football games. I have a pair of season tickets. I also Denver Broncos. So that's
nice.
So,
That's really
But
good.
I'd like to see more people come out to the ballpark. And I think that, first of all, the Cubbies winning last year brought a whole new heightened awareness of baseball, okay? And maybe it's a Yankee thing. You don't like that.
No, I like that.
But I think it's good
it
for the sport of
re-engaged
a lot
Absolutely.
of people. I mean, you wait 100 years, you ought to be rewarded.
No
It's
doubt
an
about
international
it.
story. It's a national story, but it's a worldwide story because that's of the time. The other thing is, put the cell phone down, put the iPad down, go to the ballpark, spend 3.5 hours or whatever the time is with your family and friends and meeting your neighbors, and you deserve that. We deserve that rest. Do you know what I mean? And
Well,
that's
it's also when you go to the Osprey, it's a much more intimate experience than going to Safeco Field, for example. I mean, if you're interested
more of a
in the
spring
game,
training environment.
Yeah, I mean, you're watching the players. You can see the the rawness, but you can see the potential. I mean, if you are a baseball fan, that's a very interesting arena to do that.
You can get your baseball fix, and we have those fans that are in this community that follow our guys all the way through, and they'll call us in the office or they'll see us somewhere during the offseason and say, hey, I saw that Miguel Montero's doing this, or I saw that Jose Valverde retired, or, and I went down to spring training and I saw Jesrado Chisholm, who played for you guys last year and is a top prospect, and he took the time out of his workout day to come over and say hi to me and my family. So there are those people that get their fix of the baseball with that.
I've even liked going over there and watching the coaches working with the players, around the game time.
Right.
To see that mentoring and to see all that, because those coaches are mostly guys who spent their whole life in baseball.
And they're mostly big leaguers that are now doing it the other direction. Right. They're trying to make the big leagues as a coach now.
Right, and they're working with young talent. And it's really great to watch and see the mentoring and see, the thousands, the collective hundreds of years of baseball experience being given to young players.
It's great to see. It's a great sport. It's an American sport, and we should celebrate it here in Missoula.
Right.
And maybe that's the thing that we need to. Do you have a campaign already designed for this year? A new marketing campaign?
I think you just sold it for us.
I think we should get together. We can get together with
make
our friends.
Missoula baseball
ESPN.
great again.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Hey, listen. They say play ball, not work ball, right? This is for play. This is a game. This is a sport. This is a passion. By the way, just for you, because I know you're an economics kind of guy.
Yes.
We talked earlier about
sales.
Lots of numbers being thrown around.
A rookie league team being at least $7 million. Do you know that in '73, Steinbrenner bought the Yankees
How much?
from CBS for $8.7 million.
Oh my!
And now it's the most valued franchise in all of sports at $3 billion.
That's more than the Dallas Cowboys?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yankees are the number one valued franchise.
I believe it. He's such a Yankee fan. I said, so
and the Homer Award of the day goes to
Arnie Furman.
Well, I was saying, I'm the oldest in the room here, and I started going there when I was 5 years old, and I saw, Mickey Mantle play, and I saw many of the greats. I've been to many ballparks that don't even exist anymore over the years. So, it's in your blood.
Certainly.
Well, I said I grew up as a Mets fan because I grew up in the tri-state area, New Jersey, but I hadn't been to a Mets game in years. But we used to go to Yankee games when I worked in the city.
Well, I would go to
so
Mets
much easier
games
to
as
get
well.
to.
I mean, the National League, I was interested in seeing National League players in those days.
And it's real baseball.
And it's real baseball, and I was a big Mets fan when they had Kuzman, Seaver, Ryan, and Gentry as their pitching staff. And I
saw Ryan on the other end of his career.
Right, you saw him in Arizona at the other. No, and they wasn't Arizona. Randy Johnson was there.
I was saying Nolan Ryan was still pitching when I was that dates me to where I'm at.
Right.
Now. I mean, I saw him with the Angels in Texas.
Yeah.
I hate
and everybody
to burst
else.
your
Houston.
bubble,
Right.
Arnie Sherman.
Right.
I hate to burst your bubble.
Right.
But let's go through. Let's do the drum roll, please.
The most valuable franchises are.
Right, the most valuable sports franchise, 2016.
It's not.
Who do you think? No, it's not the Yankees. So who's number one?
Well, then you'd probably say Dallas Cowboys.
Valued at $4 billion with a B.
Right.
Who's number two? Not an American. Not a team,
Manchester United.
Real Madrid.
Oh, close.
Yeah, I had no idea.
And number three is Barcelona. Number four
Is the Yankees.
Is your New York
I've
Yankees.
heard they were number one, but who knows?
And Manchester
Number one
United.
in baseball.
Yeah, well, it's number one in baseball. It might be number one.
Dodgers are creeping up there, though.
Might be number one in revenue, given the New York revenue market.
Holy
Who
mackerel!
knows?
I can't curse. New York Knicks are number 7.
That's hard to believe.
That does not
It
commensurate.
has nothing to do with the quality of the team. It has to do with the revenue in the marketplace.
Patrick Ewing just got a coaching job, though.
Where? At
Georgetown.
Georgetown.
That's great. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
he deserves
That was
for him.
awesome.
He deserves it.
This is what do you know, and I knew that.
By the way, number 8, Washington Redskins. Number 9, New York Giants. Number 10, Missoula Osprey.
Well, do you know the size of the Yankees TV contract with Yes? I mean, it's billions.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's how you can. That's
Yes,
why
it's all about TV.
It's all about the revenue you can.
I've been telling my son that he's
Media
got to get a
deals.
job.
Well, and now a lot of teams share with it because of cable TV, you can buy the package on Dish or Direct or whomever, and that revenue goes out to the league and gets split up among teams.
You know that what Jeff just said. I'm pointing to Jeff. We're on the radio.
Yeah, that would have been a good TV point.
Not
That's
good.
a good pointer.
The New York Dodgers TV network, the regional sports network, which was owned by Time Warner, now owned by Charter Cable.
Right.
Okay, the most expensive regional sports network in the country.
Right.
Okay, because they bought the rights to the Dodgers for some ridiculous number. They overpaid. And what happens when they overpay is that they drive everybody else's rates up
Right.
across the country.
But look,
So,
not
you're
that
right.
we want to digress from Missoula for a minute, but talk about the New York sports market. How many hockey teams, basketball teams, football teams, baseball teams have to compete for advertising space?
Right.
I mean, you go into a New York sports
Islanders, Nets, Mets, Yankees.
Devils.
Devils,
Rangers.
Rangers.
By the way, Madison Square Garden, my former employer, they are the second largest programmer of NHL sports.
Right.
Behind NBC.
Right. You go into a New York sporting goods store to buy a jersey. They have 500 different ones for all the teams that are there.
The Knicks are the
They
only
customize them as you
Yeah,
order.
right.
Yeah.
As
They
the
do.
team- As
They
the
do.
teams start changing, they rip the names off, put the new names
Well,
on.
that's the revenue.
And we have, this is the one professional affiliate we have in Missoula, Montana, and we
It
ought
is.
to be supporting.
No, we've geeked out about this before when
Yeah.
I first got here. This stuff it's amazing that we have a minor league team here. I'm thrilled that
So
We
do you
had, we had
follow it?
19 guys. I was going to go back to that. We
Right,
had
sure.
19 guys on opening day rosters this week in the big leagues.
Is that
From
right?
last year?
No, 19 guys
Oh,
that
that
have played
played
for us
here.
that are on current rosters right now. We have 60 that have
60.
that have played in the big leagues since '99. Since the team moved here.
So you
and
go
then we
with-
have a banner for each room when you go to the ballpark, so you can actually walk right in the stadium,
Right.
head to the left, right by the information beer booth where you get your beer wristband. Right.
Right.
There's a banner for each of these guys in the year they played here and the year they made
Well, you
their
know what's
debut.
really great for the
that right?
guy
Yep.
is
You can review
some
it.
guys bounce around and maybe make 6 or 8 minor league teams, but they'll always remember the first one, right? And this, for most of them, it's their first
Most of the
major
time.
league experience, and it's in Missoula, Montana.
First
Yeah,
professional
great.
experience, and it's a good community for them to start out in.
Absolutely.
It's a good place for them to get their feet under them and learn how to be.
You don't want to be a Toledo mudhen right out of the gate. You
In
want to
Montana?
come. You want to come to Missoula.
Summer in Montana.
culture shock for some.
Is that right?
Right off the bat, I mean,
Well, there's a lot of
guys,
Latin ball
well,
players,
just wherever
right?
you're from, and coming here and seeing the mountains, and maybe even snow still on Mount Sentinel come June 1st or June 15th.
Right, so you're drafted out of the Dominican Republic, and 4 days later you're in Missoula, Montana.
Or you
playing
went, or
baseball.
you were in Phoenix and working out right
Yeah.
after the draft, and it's
Right.
110, and now you're on a plane to Missoula, and you get off, and it's 55, and There's mountains all around you. It's a different thing. But for the most part, and they could be blowing smoke, but when we see these guys that are in the big leagues or AAA, or we run into these folks from time to time, or guys that are coaches, like Andy Green played for us in 2004. He's managing the Padres right now. He managed our team in 2012. I'm going to be down in San Diego in May. I'm going to see Andy, and he'll talk about his experience here. That was the reason that got him right.
Is that right? Point. Jeff, what's your travel schedule like? Because I remember you telling me you would go down. Are you in Florida and Arizona and then San Diego? Like, what's your spring schedule like before the season starts?
I'm really in Missoula quite a bit. I'm working on our day-to-day business ops. Yeah, a lot of that stuff happens.
In the winter?
Yeah, if I don't put that, we don't get the season put together now and prior, then it doesn't happen, from a sponsorship and ticket sales standpoint. But, we have baseball winter meetings, and those bounce around from city to city. Right. It's all the major league and minor league affiliates for a week, and we were in Washington, D.C. this year. But it's been Orlando in the past. It's been Nashville. Right? It's been Vegas. It's been wherever.
Let me get back to the team a second.
Yeah, please.
In your experience, are position players or pitchers more developed when you see that when they come here?
Position players for the most part. And, we have a sister team in the Northwest League, which is in Hillsboro.
Right.
And it seems, for the most part, Arizona, they say they split it kind of down the middle, but a lot of the pitching goes to Hillsboro and a lot of the hitters go to our league. It's the elevation. Missoula is actually at the lowest elevation in the whole Pioneer League, believe it or not.
Really? Is that right? That's really high.
Go through and look. We're close to a couple other. Helena's not very much. But if you're in the ballpark and you get on your GPS and your phone and it tells you what the elevation is in all these cities, Missoula's the lowest. So these guys are pitching in Coors Field every night, right?
Right.
In Ogden or Grand Junction or wherever they are.
Takes off the bat.
So what are you gonna? You're gonna throw one of your top pitching prospects out here and make him have his very first professional season in the Pioneer League and struggle, maybe not, right?
Right.
Let's so quick. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, we get quite a few hitters in this league, and it seems like the pitchers are always ahead of hitters early on,
right?
But runs are scored in this league. That's why it's like arena baseball some nights.
Yes,
exciting.
Yeah.
Our guest is Jeff Griffin, general manager of Missoula Osprey.
So tell me, what's your background? Before you did this, what were you doing?
I was in college.
So you did this right out of college?
I did.
How did they find you?
I was an intern. I applied.
Really?
Yeah, I was at Washington State. I was in the sports management program where we get quite a few of our interns now, which is a good little pipipeline for us during the summer.
Nice.
Guys that want to do what we're doing. And I started as an intern here 13 seasons ago. And before I knew it, I was promoted to general manager after the 2008 season. Wow. And became a partner in 2011. So
is that right?
Yeah. So
congratulations!
I was right out of school, and I was working in the field. I moved to Missoula and became a contributing member of this community.
And you've had good mentorship too, right? Who have your mentors been here?
Well, Matt Ellis. That's right. That's the one. And
what was Matt's
parents.
background?
Matt's background is he started as an intern. He went to Arizona State.
Okay.
And he started as an intern with the Phoenix Firebirds in 1989 or 90.
Okay.
And did a year there while he was going to school at Arizona State. And then he went on to, I'm going to butcher this, but I know he went on to the Bellingham team, which was affiliated with the Mariners at the time. I think they had Craig Griffey at that point, which is Griffey Jr.'s younger brother.
Right.
And remembering the stories. And then he was promoted to assistant GM with the Modesto team in the California League for a year or two. And then his parents ended up purchasing the team that was in Riverside, California, and moving it to Lancaster and building the ballpark in Lancaster, California.
Like Moneyball.
So he was in Lancaster with that operation, and then joined this operation in Lethbridge in the early 90s, and has been with it ever since.
So we'll make sure Matt does.
It's been a family operation. They used to have holdings in the Lethbridge team, which is Missoula, the Lancaster team, which they don't have anymore, and then a team in Yakima.
Were his folks always into baseball? Was this
his from my understanding, his mother was actually the first one to work in professional baseball.
Really?
She worked for the Lodi Crushers in their barbecue area years and years ago when Matt was a baby. And I do remember this other part of the story that Ed Sprague Jr. was, if you remember Ed Sprague, was involved. Maybe his dad was a player or something. But Ed Sprague was around that Lodi Crusher team as a kid. When Matt was there as a kid, Judy, Matt's mom, was working for the Lodi Crushers at that point. And that was their first experience in professional baseball. And then Matt went to school and did his thing. And
so I'll make sure Matt doesn't listen to this. So where do you see yourself in the future? Do you want to move up in the food chain, own a team, a higher level team sometime in your career? get to the major leagues just like the players are trying to do?
Total different track on the business side, you know, and I live in this community. I work in this community. I run businesses in this community, and this is a community that I'm going to be in for the foreseeable future.
Glad to hear that.
And
Do you have a family?
yeah, I have a wife, Kara.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't know anything about you personally. I know you, but
2 dogs.
It is. What do you know?
2 dogs, Sonic and Elway.
Nice.
Sonic
Elway.
and Elway. So he's a Broncos fan.
Seattle Supersonics, and Elway. So, but no, Arnie, I see myself being here for the long term, and want to make this thing the best
so
it
I
can
can always
be.
get tickets from you. That's really terrific.
Arnie, you could get tickets as a member of the KGVO staff.
I know that.
He's been to our. We're going to do more this year with these guys because I think this is about the pendulum is swinging back to baseball.
Right.
Let's take some time for ourselves.
Good.
I know Arnie's going to be out with the left field rowdy guys, right?
That's right. I'm gonna be out
heckling the. Yeah.
Suck it up. It shouldn't hurt.
Let's go take a quick break, and once we come back, we'll finish up with our good friend Jeff Griffin, GM of the Missoula Osprey. You are listening to What Do You Know? Proudly supported and sponsored by Don Maddox, Glacier Sotheby's International Realty. Back after this. Okay, we are back with Jeff Griffin.
So, Jeff, what's your favorite baseball movie?
Bull Durham, bar none.
Yeah, you can never. If you're turning the dial on the TV and Bull Durham comes up, you have to stop, right?
And stay.
Yeah, you got to watch Annie. You got to watch Annie do her thing, her magic on the team.
I held it like an egg,
Exactly.
and he scrambled it.
Some great lines.
There are
a lot of good. I can hardly. I have to say there hardly is a bad baseball movie. If something's on, that's related to the sport, I'm going to watch.
Major League.
Major League's good.
Major League.
When they start getting away from Major League 2, then they start getting a little goofy. But
How about the
Natural?
Natural's great. I have a hard time sometimes though when you get into the realm of the movie and they don't necessarily know how it would actually play out, So
the one that
when you start watching some of that stuff, and you're like, this would never ever happen in a baseball situation.
The one that seemed real to me was the Kevin Costner one where he pitched the no hitter, which was
for the love of the game.
For the love of the game, I thought some of those scenes where he's hurting and the players behind on the plate looked to be real, and it reminded me of a guy like Greg Maddox's last pitching performance.
No doubt.
Just gutted it out to
figured out how to get it done.
How to get it done.
But the Crash Davises of the world.
Right.
I mean, that's minor league baseball right there.
Right. He's the perfect guy.
You hit the bowl, you win a steak. I mean, that's just like the things that happen.
I want some early season predictions from you. Give me who's going to be AL champion, pennant champion in the AL and the NL.
Well, if I don't say the New York Yankees, I'm going to get an arm broken over here.
I'm not going to say the Yankees either. I know where they are.
The Cleveland Indians are going to in the American League.
There's no question. Yeah. Cleveland's going to win the American League.
And I think Texas and Houston are going to challenge them this year. I think they're both really strong.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. In the National League, I think it's the Dodgers.
I think the Dodgers have the pitching to do it.
Wow.
And I don't like the Dodgers. So it's hard for me to say that.
They're in your market.
And I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid. I really
No, they're in the market.
We are really pulling for the Diamondbacks to do what they do, and everything we do. I moved here. I was a Mariner fan, and because of my history.
We grew up.
And then about 2001, when they won 116 games and didn't make the World Series, I was like, all right, well, I got to figure out something else. And then when you start working for an organization, you really start believing. We don't work for them, but when you start having a relationship with that organization, it would look silly for me to wear a Seattle Mariners hat down the street now.
Well, you see
so
the
it's
talent.
all Diamondbacks all the time.
You see the talent they're drafting. You see their commitment to players. You see their expertise in figuring out what they need, and half of them are coming here.
Right.
So you get that sense and that connection.
And we want to see our guys do well, but we have 6 guys on the Diamondback opening day roster right now. We have 3 on the Colorado Rockies, because of trades and whatever else.
Right.
So I root for players now too because of the people that you've been with, and I root for the Padres every night. They stink, but Andy Green's just one of the great guys in baseball.
Do you play fantasy baseball?
I used to.
Right.
Can't do it.
Not as much anymore.
Arnie will go to Seattle, by the way, to see the Yankees play Seattle.
Well, the tickets are a lot cheaper. I can get great seats at Safeco Field for less than flying to New York.
No doubt.
Absolutely.
Doing that whole thing.
I may go road trip with you this time because I like going to Seattle.
And Safeco Field is a great ballpark.
It is.
Oh, it's a wonderful ballpark.
So when they named the team the Osprey, there was a contest, right? To name the team.
Not that I'm aware of.
I thought there was in town here a contest.
If there was, I haven't heard that story.
Okay, well.
So, but there could have been. I do know
what
that.
What else would you have named him?
Yeah, just with the Osprey.
I think one of the radio stations. I'm not sure which one.
Could have
had a competition to come up with a name for the team.
That's possible.
So I failed at what do you know on that category? So
right.
I do not know that one.
But there's a nest out there which I think is fabulous, and there's usually an Osprey sitting.
We're the only professional sports team with a live mascot living in its natural habitat.
Which is amazing.
Which really,
that bird lived, or that nest was over in the old mill site at one point.
Right,
as
and
you
moved
know,
it over.
And they moved the pole over, and it nested, and it flies south. The biologists at the universities told us that they've seen that bird in Galveston, Texas during the off season.
Is that right?
And then,
scouting
right.
the Galveston team for us.
They come back up, and they are people birds.
They are.
They love to grab that big sucker fish out of the.
Is that right?
Yeah, and fly it around and. Show it off and eat it right there in front of everybody on the light pole. And
see, I want to see that.
Yeah,
that happens every day. Come out for batting practice.
You have to pay attention to the game instead of the beer and the hot dogs.
They are social birds.
All right, so his predictions are Cleveland and
L.A.
And I think that's a good prediction. I mean,
you're in agreement?
Yeah, I'm in agreement. Although it's hard, it's just like the NFL. Who's going to win the NFL? Yeah, who knows?
I know, but early returns. You see how people.
Those teams are stocked. They have good pitching.
It'll be hard to beat the Cubs again, but I think the Dodgers have enough pitching to beat them.
Opening day, Dodgers scored 14 runs. I mean, come on.
It was also against Ulysses Chacin.
Yes, yeah, and he's not so easy to score 14.
He's been on the trash heap for a few years.
Yeah.
Is that right?
But
well, I mean, he was
so great about.
He pitched for the Rockies for a few years, and then the Diamondbacks signed him, and used him out of the bullpen for a while. But he's been a AAA journeyman, and he's a 4A guy, and he ended up being a opening day starter for the Padres. Well, crying out loud, they're how do you not score 14 runs off the guy? And the second guy they brought in San Diego was a converted catcher.
Right, yeah.
San Diego, Christian Beltoncourt.
Let's say it's fair to say San Diego's not going to win the National League.
They are the candidate. To probably lose 100 games.
Yeah, and that's sad for fans of the local market.
The stat, guys, that I saw after opening day is Clayton Kershaw makes $5 million more per season than the whole San Diego Padres roster.
Right.
That seems
well. They follow the strategy the Marlins did, which is try to keep the salaries low, and ultimately you lose your market.
They have a lot of AAA guys on their team,
right? And you lose. People don't want to go to watch a team like that. Marlins kind of turned it around. They got Giancarlo Stanton and some other new players on their team, but
they go for it every once in a while.
Right,
the Kevin Brown years.
San Diego may end up in Las Vegas if they don't watch out, like the Oakland Raiders.
Everybody's moving to Las Vegas these days. Do you remember how many years ago was it where everyone said Las Vegas is dying? You could go buy a house for pennies on the dollar, and now the housing market's booming down there, and they're getting 2 professional sports teams. And
well, you know what's so great about like baseball or even professional football? It's not that. You have to build local fan support, but there's always 100,000 people in town from the town that's visiting the game.
Right.
So if you got a baseball team and
hey, you want to go to the ball game tonight?
Yeah. You don't care about the local
it's another
team.
attraction.
Yeah. So
just like going to a show at one of the casinos.
Tell us. Let's finish up and wrap this up. But tell us some special events, some special dates on the calendar for the Osprey.
Game promotions. We open at home on June the 23rd.
Okay.
Which is a Friday night.
Calendars.
Friday night. For opening day, fireworks the next night, June 24th. 3 other fireworks shows scheduled. July the 3rd, which is our big Independence Day show.
Right.
Saturday, July 29th, and Friday night, September 1st, the Friday before Labor Day. So 4 fireworks shows. We got opening day. We'll have a T-shirt night that we'll do with a former player.
When's the celebrity night? Is that happening in Missoula Celebs?
I don't have that on my calendar.
Okay. Any special menu items that are going to be coming?
Bats and balls.
Have
you tried the bats and balls?
No. What are they?
Rocky Mountain oysters on a bed of fries.
Get out of here.
Nope. On the menu every night.
Is that new? Or is that this year?
No, we've had it for years. It's always in the minor league baseball food contest, and it gets a lot of laughs. Right?
Okay, fair enough. So bats and balls.
Any other musical concerts that have been signed you can talk about?
None that have been signed.
He's the cagey dude.
Yeah,
I love
good.
that. I wanted to ask you one question. Did you ever play baseball?
Yeah, as long as they would let me. I'm a better coach than I am a player. But
Griffin is our guest. He's a delightful guest.
Yeah, we're gonna have you back when the season's on. We're gonna talk about where we're at and what the team.
Might have to have a regular segment.
You will have one.
We'll have one.
Okay,
the
thanks,
Osprey
guys.
segment. Thanks, it's a pleasure.
Happy Sunday to you, Jeff. Arnie, have a great week. Rest of your weekend.
Yeah, talk to you next week.
Okay. Thank you for listening to What Do You Know?
I can't wait for the next show, Scott.
I'm excited too, Arnie. If you'd like to suggest a guest, send me an email at scottrichmond@townsquaremedia.com. We'll see you next week. And thanks for listening to Newstalk KGVO.